Hey, what's up, patrons out there? Toward the Max Extreme here.
And Ghost Hunter Dave.
And together, we are pounding through Marvel events as Imperius Rex.
Just ramming our way through it.
That's
Stirring
right.
it up.
We are
spitting it out.
We are the Annihilation wave just crushing through the crunch into our universe. Just meddling with things, more or less. The crunch.
It was a tight squeeze through that crunch, if I can say that.
Right here. I once had a bit of an ailment from falling on ice that I called the crunch because I had it for months. It's more or less I fell right on my shoulder and neck.
Ooh.
And I just called that the crunch. It was
it made a crunch
my
sound.
It did. That's hence the name. That's where I got it from.
Was it a crunch that you could hear, or was it a crunch that you could feel?
It was one you could feel, Dave.
Oh my god. I think that's how I felt reading this book.
And we're going to get into that. Of course, we are, if you're new to this, which is weird because we have done a few of these, we are
very sporadically.
Yeah, we are chugging through the Marvel events starting around the year 2000. Was it 2000 or 2005? Probably 2000.
Yeah, I think it was 2000 because we just hit up Civil War, which was 2005. So I imagine they had about 5 good years before everything went to hell.
Yeah, yeah. And we just did if you're looking for the Civil War podcast, you should look to our YouTube channel. Because that being like a huge major event, we decided to do a video on that.
We did it right. But it is also in the podcast channel as well. So you have so many options. You could take it on the go, or you could not. The options are endless.
But now we are leaving Earth a little bit, and we're going to see what's going on in the deep space realm of the Marvel Universe.
That's right. We're going to let things cool down. We're going to let tempers simmer.
That's
Everyone get back on their feet.
And what's going on Earth, it would seem to pale in comparison to what's going on space. They're tiny little squabbles mean such a small, insignificant thing compared to the massive annihilation wave of the negative zone crunching there into the Marvel Universe. We're talking about Annihilation. Annihilation, ladies and gents.
You got that right, true believer.
So this was happening at the same time as Civil War.
Yeah.
Which I guess would also be happening the same time as like Planet Hulk as well.
Yeah,
like
I was looking up. Right, I was looking up some of the release dates of these titles, and I believe Annihilation published in 2006, whereas Civil War was 2005, as we said. I don't recall when Planet Hulk was, but World War Hulk, which we're going to be touching on next episode, was 2007. But this is all publication dates. I don't know when these are actually supposed to be happening in like the chronological Marvel Universe time and space. But I think, as you said, they are all kind of happening at once.
Yeah. Well, chronologically, they'd be happening in the 4 days. Like in a 4-day span.
Yeah, yep. A lot goes down.
So, Dave, is this the first time you've ever read Annihilation?
It was, yeah. I always, I'm someone that always kind of steered clear of those cosmic Marvel events just because I had no basis or background on any of the characters. So I was always just a little put off by it, But I heard good things. It was one of those where everyone kept saying, like, even if you're not into that, this is the one that's going to turn you around. So I was like, you know what? I think it's time. I bought these collections whenever they re-released them in paperback. I've got the 2 complete collection volumes here, volumes 1 and 2, respectively, which make up the entire Annihilation first series. I'll probably pick up the second one, Conquest, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, this was my first adventure into the cosmic Annihilation wave.
So when I first read this, I read it like as it was dropping in like the big hardcovers. I picked those up.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no basis on what was going on in any cosmic stuff. I was kind of somewhat familiar who the characters were just by reading like the history of the Marvel Universe books or whatever. Like I kind of knew who Nova was.
Right.
A little bit of Drax the Destroyer, but not even then, not real. Thanos, yeah. Moondragon, I guess a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But Silver Surfer, but otherwise, like, I was completely new to all of this. So going in, like, I almost went in with no expectations, and I was pretty pleasantly surprised, like, how much I enjoyed my experience with this book overall. And what this book, I think, also did, too, was it was aware that, like, we haven't really done anything deep cosmically in a while, so why don't we really just shake things up and, like, kind of get a new, refreshing take on some certain characters, which I think from here on carried forward to, like, currently in books as well. I mean, the movies did a lot for, like, the Guardians and stuff, but it all kind of had a seed planted here in Annihilation, and especially for Guardians of the Galaxy in Annihilation Conquest.
That's when, is that where they kind of form that that group that we all know and love today?
Yes. Yeah, that's where the group that we know from the movies is formed in that book. So it's a shame that we both didn't read that one, because I thought it happened in this one, and it didn't.
No, we just get Drax. Well, we get a lot of the members separately in, you know, kind of their shadow of their former selves look and feel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they didn't ever go full Guardians in this. But we did get a revamped Drax, whom I have no knowledge of what he was like before this. Gamora was in this, but she was...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Gamora is very old school in this. Like, she is not even close to kind of the Gamora that we know now. And Star-Lord was just... Well, he even says he's not the Star-Lord. He's Peter Quill, the space pirate, previously known as Star-Lord.
Right. Right. And he doesn't even have his iconic look from
he's got the robot eye. Your typical futuristic cyber eye.
Yeah, right. And I totally forgot about that too, because I always thought, even in like classic 70s cosmic stuff, he's still got that kind of like helmet and mask whole thing going on. Yeah, so it's weird that he doesn't have it in this.
I thought he had almost like a Nova style helmet from what I remembered Star-Lord as.
It's like a little bit like that. It's a little different, but I mean, it's like a weird like just a one-piece spandexy suit with like a weird helmet, and it's like, oh, I'm in space and I do stuff in here. Like the costume,
you gotta keep the space germs out.
The costume that like the Guardians get in the Annihilation Conquest, with like the bomber jacket with like the flame emblem in the front, like that is an awesome costume. Switch them up. I love that. But anyway, we're talking a lot about the stuff we didn't read. So, Annihilation, the gist of it, if you aren't aware already, it is, it starts at the edge of the known universe, where the universe touches the negative zone. And in that little place where they touch, it's called the Crunch. And around there is like a series of artificial moons called the Kiln, which like harness energy from the Crunch, but is also a prison. It's like a weird catch-em-all type thing.
Yeah.
And
you know what? Stuff the prisoners in there too. We got room.
Yeah. Fuck them. If the thing blows up, they're dead anyway.
Is that it's the like same Kiln from Endgame? Or not Endgame, Infinity War? Is that where Thor goes to like harness that sun?
Oh, I don't know if that's the same place or not. But
Maybe it's
anyway,
not
that's
that at
probably
all.
where they
It
would have
just
got.
seemed like a kiln.
What was the prison that the Guardians went to in the first movie? Was it this place?
Yeah, it might be. There was a lot from the first Guardians movie that kind of was peppered in here. You could definitely tell they had some inspirations. They just kind of changed out the villains.
For sure. But anyway, the Annihilus and the negative zone just like files in, not even by single file, just plows through the crunch, destroying the kiln, like killing much of everybody on there, and then just tears ass through Xandar, taking out pretty much all of the Nova Corps in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like the first big holy shit, Annihilus means war, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah, so what's the deal with Annihilus? What's his deal? What is this guy?
He is kind of like the de facto ruler of the negative zone. And from what I understand, and it's maybe retcon since then, but is that the negative zone is such an old universe that it's starting to collapse on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's starting to crunch on itself.
so many crunchings.
And so they're actually looking for almost like refuge, but in the worst possible way. Like they
Right.
need to get out of the negative zone because it sucks.
Mm-hmm. Crunchitize me, Captain.
Yeah, for sure. But with the cosmic control rod or something that he possesses, it gives him like a mass strength and invulnerability and kind of shit like that. That's that
And
like
that
weird.
is that how he controls the Annihilation Wave with that rod?
I suppose so.
And what is the Annihilation Wave? Are they just like bugs from the negative zone?
Yeah, pretty much everything from the negative zone, I guess, is just insectozoid bug-like. Even like the ships that have even the ships that come through look like bugs and are possibly also driven by bugs.
Right. There's a lot of bug on bug action in this. Yeah, I never I always like the visual look of Annihilus, but it seems like I've never like won over by anything he does in his stories. He kind of looks like an insectoid Doctor Doom, but I don't get like any character out of him. He's just like, "Oh, I'm going to destroy the Earth."
Yeah.
Because my Earth is destroyed and I like destruction.
That's pretty much like the gist of what I always got to. And like for a while he was just like a Fantastic Four villain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of like that, like they didn't really give him much more character development, I would say, in this story, but they do make him like a formidable, like not even an opponent, but like just an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Like it makes him like kind of scary, like how he's just him and the almost all of the negative zone, it just files in as just like this unstoppable force.
Right. Like when he comes in here, guns blazing, I was like, really? Annihilus? Like, really? Him?
Right.
I don't know. I don't hear enough about him, I guess, in like the Marvel universe that, I knew he was the villain in this, but I thought they maybe would just build him up a little bit more, but they really don't. They're just like, Annihilus, bug guy.
Yeah. That's
Bug
it.
Doctor Doom, right? That's all you need. You afraid of Doctor Doom? Well, wait till you meet Bug Doctor Doom.
Twice as ugly.
Dr. Bug.
But so with that, with Xandar being destroyed, it's odd that the one person to survive is the one from Earth, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so Richard Rider, the Nova from Earth, which I want to hold on. Let me just talk about the Nova Corps for a little bit, because like I'm hot and cold on my thoughts on them. I do like that they are not just a complete Green Lantern ripoff. Where
they're not.
Yeah, they are. Well, they're. I mean, in like ability, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they do like kind of patrol different sectors of the universe. They're like space police, yes, but like they're more, I guess, hands-on than like the Green Lanterns, who can just like make constructs and do whatever they want, like with a magic ring. Yeah, they can fly around and shoot laser beams or whatever. But I almost like how they even did it in the Guardians movie. I think it was.
Yeah, where they're more just like straight up space police.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and they drive around in spaceships.
Yeah.
Yeah. But regardless, Richard Rider's the last surviving member on Xandar, and then with that, the Xandarian Worldmind realizes he's the last one left and downloads its entire consciousness and whatever into Richard Rider to become like Nova Prime, like the and to like revamp this character as well, because like I don't know what he was doing before this. He was a part of the New Warriors back in like the 80s and 90s, but then what? What did he do?
Good for him. He lucked out. You know, he was in space, surviving another horrible cataclysmic explosion, as opposed to what the New Warriors were doing on Earth at this time.
Yeah.
So Worldmind, so obtrusive, as it just downloads itself right into his consciousness.
Oh yeah.
Does do you know? Does he go forward with that Worldmind for a while after this?
So like right off this series, Nova actually had like a bit of like a hot streak, and like a decent run right after this, and I've never read it, but I've always wanted to because it has those like rad like Adi Granoff covers to it. But I never ended up getting to it.
If we're talking covers, how about these Annihilation covers by Gabriel Delato? My word. Best part of the entire series, in my opinion, these covers.
They are supreme. They are pretty great. Every single one's fucking awesome. And if you ever look up like Silver Surfer images online, every single cover to the Silver Surfer stuff is all like the top, your top choice.
Yeah.
They're so good.
And we should mention too the creative team on this book. Keith Griffin, I believe, was the writer of the actual Annihilation miniseries, and one or two others, and then Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, and I think two others that I was not familiar with. And then the art team, I don't think I knew or recognized like any of these guys. It was very strange to me that like maybe the one that did the Annihilation prologue I'd seen somewhere, and it's like a little bit more simplistic art, but nothing really jumped out to me as like, oh man, I love this. Like it was all kind of serviceable, but not really, I guess, what I was expecting from like the Marvel House style at that time either. I don't know. It almost seemed like a knockoff of the Marvel House style. You know, like the Mexican version of some like American property. It's like you can see what they're going for, but it's not quite what you're used to.
Right. Yeah,
nothing against Mexico. I'm talking about you know all those shitty ripoff like toys you see in cheap supermarkets.
Like a Spider-Man toy, but it's got Superman inside of it.
Exactly, and he's wearing like a Power Ranger mask.
Yeah. For whatever reason, there's a Transformer on the box instead.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yep.
Damn. Now I totally forgot what I was gonna say because I thought
I'm just trying to think of different things that could be rattling around in the package with him. Different off-brand.
What I was gonna say was like, so after I initially read this series, I gave it off to the mysterious third member of the book club, Dinosaur
Neil. Yes.
And he was immediately put off by the art, like especially like the Nova versions where it's got really dark, heavy outlines, but it's kind of flat color, and it's kind of
he was telling me that, and I liked the Nova art more than most, I would say, in this.
Yeah, I found it because they weren't trying to go with any house style at all. It was like specifically that guy's style.
It looked more like an indie book.
Yeah, and it was a completely different art style from any of the other stories in this book too. Like everything else is more similar to each other, and this is one I thought stood out a little bit more, and I always will remember this one, but I'll kind of think the other ones are forgettable in their look.
Yeah, I was talking to Dinosaur Neil, and I think the only comment he made about it was he hated the Nova art switch. And I was like, really? You idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, what an idiot.
What a dumb shit.
So
I liked Ronin's art, too, I would say.
yeah,
That one
yeah,
reminded
Ronan was
me
good.
almost of like a heavy metal or like a
Oh,
2000
sure,
AD type of art piece.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
Even a little like Jeff Darrow at times when it gets like really, really detailed in some of these bug invasions.
Oh yeah. Like, could you imagine like getting assigned like a big event book and you're like, "Oh, sweet, I get to draw a bunch of bugs." Great.
Yeah. Big Marvel crossover, polishing up my Captain America work. Oh man, wait, what? Just a bunch of bugs? Bug Doctor Doom? Man. Yeah.
So the beginning of this, we already said like Drax gets a new look as well.
Mm-hmm.
Before he was just like a big dumb space Hulk. Like
Yeah. He looked like
he's
Savage
got like a
Dragon to me.
Oh,
Did he even have
yeah.
the fin? Did he have a stupid
No,
fin?
No, he doesn't have a fin. He's got that weird like kind of scroll pointy headpiece
Yeah.
with like a little skull at the top of it, and like a big fucking purple suit with like a cape and like a big collar on it.
Yep.
Like super dumb. And like even in, because I totally forget that like that was his look for a long time, probably longer than he's been this look. And this look is like what like Dave Bautista is on screen, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And this one I feel like is gonna stay and stick the test of time because they've at least made movies about it.
Right. And it has,
but
like,
the
it's
one-
a unique look. It isn't just like, well, that looks like three other characters that we just hobbled together. Three other
Right,
space
yeah.
characters.
Right. It's like a little dash of Hulk, shrink him down a little bit, so then put the red tattoos on him, so he's like Kratos. And
Yep.
give him some knives.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's its own thing. It's a mash 'em up.
So what is his deal in this? Like he was old, stupid Drax, who was like
Yeah.
actually dumb. Like that was one of his character traits. He was an idiot.
Yeah.
And then
yep.
he like dies and resurrects out of his body. He like bursts out of a cocoon of his old body, and now
Yep.
he's like new, smart, badass Drax. And is that ever like explained? Like, why did this happen? Why can he do that?
I couldn't. I know. So like Drax is like a weird story overall. Like his
Yeah,
like-
what's up with that? His family's dead by Thanos, but then his daughter's alive, and then he finds his wife, and I'm like, well, who's dead in your family then, Drax? Like,
So,
I
like,
just couldn't follow any of this shit. And it's like all the stuff that I knew about these characters that pops up in this, but no additional information. So I'm still left with the exact same questions I had. Like, I know his wife's dead and his family's dead and Thanos killed him, but they're here in this. So, like, what? And they even say, like, yeah, but he killed my kids. I'm like, no, he didn't. Maybe he did. I don't know. I didn't care enough to look any deeper.
So Drax is a weird thing because like I'm pretty sure he's originally from Earth, and his consciousness was taken out and put it in like an alien body. And like
that
Thanos,
old
I think, is the
chestnut.
one. Yeah, I think Thanos is the one who did it, but like with that, like killed his wife and daughter at the same time. So he's always out for revenge to kill Thanos.
But then he
Which-
got a space family.
But I guess he got I don't fucking know, dude. All I think I can barely remember about his previous life is that he played the saxophone.
Drax on
So-
the sax, baby.
Yeah, Drax on sax.
Well, I instantly like him a little bit more now.
Oh yeah, can you just see him play like the fucking sax guy or whatever? Let's see, what else do I got in my notes here? What do you think about Cammy in this, like a surrogate little daughter?
Didn't like her at all.
I totally forgot about her until I went back and re-looked at it, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot that they do this for a while.
Yeah, I'm like, who is this annoying young girl who I had never seen or heard from since this? So I don't know if she stayed any longer than like this crossover, but didn't care much for her. She was just a snarky little brat who was supposed to be like 13 or something. She definitely didn't look or sound 13, but we're just old guys, so we don't know what these kids are
Yeah.
up to nowadays.
We're just old guys.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought the intro was kind of cool. Like Drax's story takes you to Earth, and it's like the only time they're on Earth in this,
yep.
which
Yeah.
it kind of like sets you on familiar ground, and then boom, you're in space for the rest of the show. And
Yeah.
then it goes
I
through like this. I did like that. I mean, this was a crossover, but it wasn't one that required you to read them in this like insane mind-bending order. It
right.
was like 6 or 7 4-issue individual series that you could read one after another, and then all of it just built up to the final actual event. Which I
Yeah.
can't think of any crossover, any like big company crossover that has done that. Where it's like,
Right.
read Secret Invasion 1 and then read New Avengers 14 and then read Mighty Avengers 27 and then read Secret Invasion 2. And like if you don't read it that way, it doesn't make any sense. Whereas this,
Right.
it's like you could just read any of these 4-issue stories and be cool, and those told like a consistent story. Or you could read them like one after another, and then not, then you're all caught up and ready for this big event, which you could also have read without all this build up too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually going to make note of that because I couldn't think of any other time they did that as well. And I actually liked that they gave like a back history to some of these people that you may have never read before, like either one of us when we first got into this. And so it's like, okay, here's what the deal is with Drax the Destroyer. We're kind of changing him up. You're going to see him later.
Don't
Here's
worry,
like
no one
Nova.
cares.
Yeah, we're going to change him up a little bit. You're going to see him later. Here's Ronin, Silver Surfer, blah, 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 blah. And then once you have all of that kind of put aside and like kind of where you need them to be, then this actual event kicks off where they can all like kind of come together and
Yeah.
have like
No,
a big grand adventure.
I wonder if that was ever like the initial pitch, or if Marvel was like, you gotta, lay out some leg, or you gotta put in some legwork here because nobody remembers any of these characters. Like, you're gonna have to put a couple individual minis out before you get to this Annihilation, because no one's gonna give a shit about who any of these people are or what they're doing unless you kind
Yeah.
of give them a catch up here.
For real. And it runs the gamut like of anybody of a who's who of like this cosmic stuff. Like everybody is in this.
Hmm.
Like later on, so Drax ends up going into space with Cammy. They eventually in the Nova title meet um Nova actually.
Yeah.
And then they also meet up with Quasar, old Wendell Vaughn himself, Quasar
Oh
with his
man, our favorite from the Infinity Gauntlet.
with his
Constantly
mega
getting
bands.
his bands exploded and blowing his hands off in the process. His
So
greatest strength
they-
is his greatest weakness.
Yeah.
He'd be
So
alive
they
now
end
if it
up-
weren't for those bands.
So I'll bring up the question later, but like, so they all meet up together and they kind of form like a small little pseudo team.
Mhm.
And
I
they
actually really
meet-
enjoyed Nova's book. I liked the back and forth between the three of them, Cammy, Drax, and Nova.
Yep.
Um,
Yep, so did
super
I.
relatable. The most like down to earth this cosmic story ever got.
Yeah.
Because they were essentially all three Earthlings in one way or another. And
Yep.
it was also, it felt like kind of a smaller scale story. It was just a lot of it was Nova just trying to come to grips with this new super mind in his consciousness there. And
Yep.
then it kind of leads right into the main event there too. And it also kind of picks up from the prelude to the main event. So
Yep.
I would say like if someone didn't want to read this entire thing, I would just like point them to the prologue, Nova, and then Annihilation. And I think they could probably get by without reading some of those other ones.
Yeah, I think there's actually some when I got to my book 2, it had like the Silver Surfer one, the
Super
Ronin
Skrull.
the Accuser,
Yep.
and the Super Skrull, and I'm like, do those really add a whole lot to
No,
this?
I didn't get anything out of those.
The only thing I got, like, so I guess it would introduce me to like Ronin the Accuser because I didn't think I knew who he was when I first got this. I knew who the Super
Yeah,
Skrull was, but like I don't know what that book did for me. It was kind of like a fun little adventure for the Super Skrull. You got to
yeah.
like kind of
None of
treat
them
him
won
as
me
like a
over on the
hero.
characters, though.
No, but I got to know a little bit more like how the Kree kind of work and the accusers and the pursuers and all that kind of garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and you got to see like how big like a formidable foe I guess Ronan really is. And then when he actually shows up in the Annihilation title, like the actual Annihilation, and he's like cutting a swath through like all
Mm-hmm.
these bugs. He's like, well, good thing like Ronan showed up because otherwise we'd be hosed. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess he's like a pretty powerful dude.
Yeah, it was kind of the equivalent of Namor showing up in Civil War there at the end with that
Right.
wonderful rallying cry of Imperius Rex.
Oh my gosh, who could forget?
I almost forgot, but then I remembered it. So everything is going smooth as silk.
Um,
So
Nova
is Ronan
and
normally a good guy?
I
like
can
I
never
don't-
fucking tell.
Yeah, I have
don't
no
know.
idea. He's just a space guy, I guess. They're all ill-tempered. This is one of my complaints with this book is outside of like the snarky humanish ones like Nova and Cammy and Star-Lord,
Yeah,
everyone else is just like a big tough brute of a space alien.
yeah.
And that was
Oh,
like
yeah.
that was about it. Those were like the two personalities. They were either like a witty earthling or like just an asshole alien. And I'm like, okay, like we need Gene Roddenberry in here. Someone shed a light and tell me the universe is full of more hope and optimism than just all these like space lugs.
Well, there were bugs too. Don't forget about them.
Lugs and bugs. Yep. But like everyone they fought, like this, was it Ravager or something? Who is
Yeah, something like
Annihilus's
that, yeah.
right hand man, and then like the thugs that Drax lands with, and
Yeah.
then like the some of the heralds and some of the people that the heralds fight. They just were
Yeah.
like so interchangeable to me. I couldn't even keep them straight.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I agree with that.
And
As much as like a variety you could get as in space, where you could like have them look like anything. They're just
yeah,
like
I
big
thought like Planet
fucking
Hulk
brutes.
did a much better job of showing off some variety in the different creatures there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't in love with Planet Hulk either. What else? What else?
Well, Annihilus finally meets up with Nova and Quasar when they're on their little jaunt, and and Annihilus just cooks Quasar.
He does.
just dusts him, right? And then steals
I've never
his mega
seen
bands.
Quasar do anything other than get his ass kicked and his hands blown off. Like, isn't he supposed to be like
like-
one of the most powerful beings, or is he only like there to show how powerful he is and then show how tough the villain is when they instantly mop the floor with him?
I don't know, but like,
He's
so
like the
question
cosmic
I
red shirt for Marvel.
yeah, for sure. The question I had for you is like when we were reading Hickmania, was Quasar in that, or am I getting it confused with Starbrand?
I think it was Starbrand.
Okay, all
Who
right.
looks
because
very
I was
similar
like,
to Quasar, right? Don't they have like the same insignia?
oh, just about, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I was like, so if he died in this, I don't remember him ever just like, oh, I'm back. I'm just not
I
cooked
think
anymore.
Yeah, I think a woman takes over his role, but I couldn't
Yes.
tell you who or if she
It's,
still is or anything.
I don't know if she still is, but it's Phyla-Vell who
Yeah,
takes over later
her.
in this title as Quasar. Yeah, she's like a part of the Marvel family, and I think she was
Okay.
once Captain Marvel as well.
Oh yeah,
And-
yeah, they say that.
Um,
Here's something that we haven't mentioned yet. Fucking dweeby Thanos is in this. when is Thanos not just a big idiot in the shit that we read?
I don't know.
Oh my god. And he's got his little stupid Tinkerbell friend in this who I was really put off by. Like,
Yeah,
where did she come from?
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really. When I was going through that, I breezed through that. I didn't hardly read it at all. I was like kind of getting the gist of what they were doing. I'm like, okay.
Because,
And
like, again, his big master plan just blows up in his face, and then he's just offed by Drax there.
Yeah, gets his heart ripped out.
Yeah, and then was he gone for? I guess they did a bunch of like Thanos relaunches probably around when the movies kicked off, but yeah, Thanos, you're not winning me over in anything we've read. Even when Hickmania happened in Infinity, he still seemed like, really, this guy? You're scared of this guy?
Yeah, I don't like. I don't know. But when Thanos had his own title there for a little bit, I heard it was good.
Yeah,
so
Donny Cates and Lemire wrote it at one point.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. But yeah, anything I've seen him in,
you love death so much,
like...
fucking kill yourself, bro. I don't get it. He's just sitting there like ogling death. He can't wait to be with death. He wants to please death. It's like, then fucking kill yourself, Thanos.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
But he does finally get to be with death at the end of this after he gets his heart ripped out of his chest.
Yeah,
he's just
they have a nice
standing
little
there
death
and like
family.
Yeah,
have some dead kids.
He's standing there in his black robe.
Yeah, having a ball. Loving it.
It's like all he ever wanted.
Yep. God, it was in front of him all along.
So with the like Annihilation wave, finally getting to the actual like 6-issue Annihilation book, like Nova and Star-Lord, Drax, Ronan, Gamora, Phyla-Vell,
Bill Murray,
as well as like previous Heralds of Galactus are all fighting the Annihilation wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Drax eventually rips out Thanos' heart. We already said that. Ronan destroys the Supreme Intelligence of the Kree.
Yep, because it's been corrupted.
That's right. Vel becomes the new Quasar. We said that. And Nova just guts Annihilus.
Yeah,
he finally gets his hands...
and it seems so easy. Another one of those where this guy's so powerful, he's like, well, have you tried reaching down your own throat?
Down and just rips out a big... He just pink socks the shit out of him.
Oh my god, yeah. He's turned inside out.
Oh my god. But apparently that's not the end of Annihilus, because at the end there's some like Annihilus egg or something like that. Like he can never fully be destroyed or...
Well, yeah, because he's been
whatever
surrounding himself with these gross slug concubines that he's just been shooting his seed into left and right. So he's got all these little backup Annihilus babies to reincarnate him as, or whatever those are.
Real sicko.
Yeah, real perv.
But I mean, we were breezing right through this, but I mean, I have 3 freaking hardcovers of this, and it's a bit of like a read for like an event we would do just on this, compared to like, I guess, Civil War, which is like the main title, and a few others if you wanted to read them. But I still don't think it's as much as this, especially if you wanted to read Conquest on top of it, where it's like some actual fun stuff that I remember.
Is Conquest like is it considered part of this story, or is it like the sequel?
It's like a follow-up to it, like kind of to set in stone like new cosmic stuff that's going down.
Okay. Well, we'll read it. I mean, I feel like we did this one. We should see it through. And then apparently this year they did another one called Annihilation Scourge, which was a lot more truncated. I think it's just like a mini series and no crazy additional offshoots like these. But I do really respect them for putting it out this way. I don't know if Conquest is the same. Is it just like kind of these minis and then they lead up to the main event like this one?
Well, the book's in arm's reach, so let me check.
No, I don't have time for that arm to get all the way over there to that shelf, Troy.
It's all the way over here. Yeah, it's got like Quasar 1 through 4, Star-Lord 1 through 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish Marvel did this more often. I understand they probably, for like these Annihilation books, these characters didn't have these ongoing titles, so it wasn't like, Star-Lord 27 through 32 are the tie-ins to this. They were just like, well, we're going to put out a Star-Lord book for 4 issues, so they can just do these kind of one-and-dones. But I really like that. If they're gonna do a big event, I would almost rather them just be like, okay, well, these are the titles that are now part of this event, and they're all pretty essential to it. We're gonna stop the presses on everything else, and then we can just collect it all as one thing here, rather than just these kind of really like peripheral tie-ins to things. Like when that fucking Absolute Carnage went on last year, everything had an Absolute Carnage tie-in. Stop the train on all these books, throw in a symbiote, and then get back to your work.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only benefit to it, though, is that, like, there wasn't a whole lot going on cosmically at this point in time.
Yeah. So
where you have, like... Yeah, so you could, like, almost do a full stop and be like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to set up to this. So, like, start all your titles now, and then we'll lead to something big, and everybody's collaborating on it together. You don't have, like, friggin' two people writing Spider-Man, and you have the X-Men doing this, and you have the Fantastic Four doing all this, and then you have to, like, stop in the middle of a fucking arc already to, like, shove Venom storyline in it, or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Yep, very true. So, yeah, so what do you think? Overall thoughts? Is this a Marvel favorite of yours?
It is, I guess, precious to me. But on this go through, though, it wasn't as good as I remember, because I think the stuff that I really liked is Guardian stuff that's coming in Conquest.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a different opinion by the time I get to that one.
Yeah, I still like this, though. I like what they did with Nova. I like that they revamped, like, Drax.
Is it Annihilation again already? Like, is he the villain again?
Well, let me see. Like, on the back cover of book 2 here, they've got Ultron on there.
What? He does look a bit like Ultron.
So anyway, that's good. That's Annihilation. So we'll probably double back into Conquest and just have, like, a follow-up on that.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But next up on our train is going to be World War Hulk.
Oh my.
So join us for the next episode where we get into World War Hulk. We'll take it from space back down to Earth.
Bringing it back down to the soil from which we sprang.
Correct.
We're all plant people here.
But until we do that, I have been Short of the Max Extreme.
And I have been Ghost Hunter Dave. And I could give a rat's ass about this fucking shit book, Troy. Didn't care for it.
I know. I could feel you seething from the other end, just trying to trick me into saying I like it.
I held back. But I wanted to be true to myself and go out with a bang. Let me tell you what I really think.
You got me at the end, you son of a bitch.
Yep. That's how I do it. Stuck that knife in. No, that's all I have to say.
Hopefully World War Hulk treats us a little bit better then, huh?
Let's find out.
All right, well then let's find out in about a week's time. How about that?
Alrighty.
All right. Let's check you later, Dave.
Imperius Rex. 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 Imperius Rex.